Getting started. So when you first load up Unity and you've chosen the 2D game, this is what you're presented with. You've got your scene, which has got a camera in there. So this is your hierarchy over on the left-hand side, and the only thing out there at the moment is the camera. Now, if I click on the camera, that's what we'll be able to see in the game view. And in fact, you can actually click on game view to see what that looks like bigger screen. But back on the scene in the main camera, once I've actually clicked on anything over here in the hierarchy, and we're going to bring our player in a moment, you get something appearing over in the inspector. So you can choose what your background color is going to be for your camera by simply clicking on this and choosing the color from here. And you can also choose if you want it to be like transparent and stuff like that as well. But anyway, back to the point, you've also got at the bottom of your screen your assets. Now at this point, we haven't actually got anything which we brought in. You've also got the tools up here on the left hand side. So this is a tool for basically dragging things around. This is a tool for moving, rotating, scaling, and rec tool is quite useful as well. And you can have a little play around those yourself. So what we need to do first of all is import an asset, which is going to be our player. Now this is a top-down game, so I'm going to import, if I go to assets, import new asset, and I'm going to import my chicken top down. So it's basically looking down at the top of a chicken. Well, it should be anyway. And if I double click on that, it will load up down here in the bottom of the assets. And because it's kind of selected here, it will give us some information here. Now, at this moment in time, it's actually not on our scene at all. So it's not actually something which we'll be able to see in our game or do anything with. But if I just drag it up onto the scene and dump it there, and it's automatically put us on the move cursor. So if I click on the blue, I can move it around. If I click on the green, I can move it directly up and down, the red arrow left and right. And what you'll notice is called chicken top down because that's what I had it called when I brought it in. Now, like I said, because we've got it selected here, and it's also clicked on the scene, either or, then the inspector gives us details about it. So it gives us the X position, the Y position of it. Now, because it's a 2D game, it keeps the Z position at 0, so it's only the X and Y you really need to look at. Now, the first thing I want to do is actually rename it. So it's actually called player or whatever you want to call it yourself. And when I press enter here, it updates over on the left hand side. So like I said, you can move this around. You can rotate it if you wish by clicking on rotate and spinning it around. And as you'll notice, the angle here you can mess around with as well. So if I want it to be facing completely to the right, or to the left, I should say, if I type in -90, or it's actually facing to the right, then I can type that in rather than actually drag it around. Right, now the thing is, at this point in time, our chicken, our player, if I press play, nothing will actually happen other than we can see the chicken being looked at top down by the main camera with a blue background because I didn't change background, and there is nothing I can do at this stage. And to stop the gameplay, and I can press play again. So the idea is when you press play, it brings you into the game mode, and then you can basically test out any coding or any changes you might have made. Now, before we do any coding, the one thing I actually want to do with my player, and I'm just going to click on the rec tool. I don't like those other tools. That seems a bit neat. You'll notice where the player is, and we can change the position and so on as well. There is this little bit at the bottom which says add component. Now, what I want to do is basically add a number of things to this. I'm just going to press backspace, in particular physics 2D. And I'm going to add a rigid body 2D to this. Where's it to? Rigid body 2D, and it basically puts this up on here. So if I just minimize these a minute so we can see just this on its own, and basically this basically gives it a mass, it gives it a gravity. Now if I press play, and I'll just quickly do it now because the gravity is set to 1, the what am I saying? The chicken will actually drop because it's got a gravity just like anything. So we don't have to code any of that stuff. It's actually done for us. So it literally just drops off the page. And if we still had transform fully loaded up, you can see that the Y position is still dropping. Even though it's gone off, it is technically still dropping, 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 dropping. And when I press play, it basically brings it back to its original position. So it's back at 0.69. So what I need to do first of all is make sure my gravity scale is set to 0, and I've basically got up and running. Now I will also need to add in a ball because I'm going to need that a little bit later as well. I don't know where the ball is. I might have to come back to that. I've also got a pitch as well, which I need to bring in. I think it might be in my new folder. No, that's not it. Oh yeah, it is new folder. And I've already started this game called Chicken Ball, and in my assets I've got my ball, I've also got my pitch, and I'm going to import those in ready for the next videos basically. And when it loads in, they'll be at the bottom ready to go. And if I want to drag a ball onto there, I can do so like that. And if I want to drag a pitch on as well, I can do so as well. Now, you might have noticed straight away that the ball and the chicken has disappeared. And you might be thinking, oh, it's because the pitch is in front of it. So do I just right click on this and send it to the back? No, it doesn't quite work like that, I'm afraid. So I'll play it. Well, the pitch needs to be at the back of everything. So on the sprite renderer, it's down as ordering layer 0. So if you can't see it, just click on the arrow here and you'll see it there. Now my ball needs to be in front of my pitch. So my ball then, which we can't see at this stage, so ball up the top is ordering layer 0. So I'm going to put it to 1 and you'll see that it appears in front of it. On my player, I'm actually going to put an ordering layer of as 2. And what that basically means is then that when I go over the ball of the player, the ball will kind of tuck in underneath it like you would naturally see from a top-down view anyway. Anyway, next video, we'll be talking about how to make this chicken move.